I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for the past 7 years, and during this time, one of the things that I have personally always found most intriguing with the passing of every new expansion is the gradual unveiling of the map of our planet, Hydaelyn. With the trailer for Endwalker, this map, though on fire in the cinematic, seems nearly complete. Now that we are finally traveling to Ilsabard, Thavnair, and Old Sharlayan, one of the only known locations we haven't yet visited is known as the New World, a small continent located to the far west of Aldenard. Currently, our map looks something like this, with this being Aldenard. That would make the New World somewhere outside of the view of our current map, thus suggesting that there could be even more undiscovered continents somewhere out there. But with that being said, outside of this knowledge of the New World, the existence of any additional continents or islands has never been confirmed in the game. Though we could indeed travel to this new world one day, or perhaps even a yet undiscovered landmass, I believe instead that something much more significant is going to happen, which will change the course of the story for many years to come. As Emmett Selk explained to us during this scene in the Ocular, Hydaelyn has the power to enervate her foes. She can split anything she chooses into multiple, weaker copies of itself, simply by striking it. This is exactly what happened with our planet and its 13 reflections. The planet itself was struck, and with that, the world itself was halved 13 times, right down to the very souls of its inhabitants themselves. When I was rewatching this scene again recently, I noticed something quite interesting. When Emmett Selk gives a demonstration of Hydaelyn's ability, using Reen as an example, 2 identical copies of her are shown. Noticeably, both of these copies are the exact same size. However, when he later shows us the simulation of the original Sundering, we can clearly see that this is not the case for the planet itself. Though it does reduce in size during the Sundering process, it remains larger than all of the fractured shards. As the scene continues, it's clear that this is not just a camera angle. The source is noticeably larger than all of its reflections, possibly double or more than double their size. Now hold on to that thought for a moment, we'll get back to that shortly. Right now, as the situation stands, the world must remain sundered. As if even one of the remaining shards is rejoined, Zodiark would, as Emmett Selk put it, regain his full strength and shatter his prison. We already know that we're going to the moon in Endwalker, and that the moon itself is significant to Zodiark's story. It is widely believed to be his prison. I believe that we are either going to face Zodiark in a trial, or he will otherwise be destroyed in some manner during the course of the MSQ. In fact, we have been told repeatedly that this upcoming expansion is the end of the Zodiark Hydaelyn story arc. Though we can't predict exactly how it will end, it's safe to assume that Zodiark will cease to be at the end of 6.0. But the same is also true for Hydaelyn. Hydaelyn was summoned with the single purpose of acting as Zodiark's shackles. Once he no longer exists, Hydaelyn's purpose will have been fulfilled. Reason follows that she too will fade away and die. However, with Hydaelyn being who she is, it's very unlikely that she will just disappear out of existence in the blink of an eye without so much as a word. It's much more likely that during her final moments, she will use the last of her power to do something good and benevolent. Though every rejoining in the past has been the result of the Ascians working to restore their god, which, when successful, led to a calamity on the source, this is not to say the idea of rejoining of worlds is necessarily destructive by nature, or that causing a calamity is the only method of accomplishing it. When it comes to Heidelin's power, the truth is we really don't know most of the details about her ability or how it works, nor do we know how much control she has over its effects. It's very possible that once Zodiark is no longer a threat, Heidelin would actually choose to reverse some of its effects, as that may very well be within her power to do so. But if she were to undo the Sundering completely, it would be a catastrophic event in which the inhabitants of every star other than the source would be deleted, in a sense. Their souls would merge with their counterparts on the source, yes, but their individuality would be gone forever. Instead, it makes a lot more sense that Heidelin would choose to bring the physical land masses and all of the people from all of the other worlds onto the source itself, merging everything together without losing any life or individual cultures or locations those shards may possess in the process. It stands to reason that this would be the most appropriate thing for her to do. If Heidelin is going to die in Endwalker, and we are on the source, there's just not anyone powerful enough watching over the shards anymore. Yes, while it's true that the Warrior of Light's soul is also sundered among these shards, none of them are quite as powerful as us, the Warrior of Light from the source, 8 times rejoined. Heidelin will want to leave these worlds in our hands because we are the most capable of taking care of any issues that may arise going forward. We would have defeated an enemy that she herself couldn't. Clearly, she would see the world as being safe under our protection. Now let's revisit the earlier point about the size of the source versus the size of the shards. Provided there are no other undiscovered continents on the source, and seeing how the size of the shards themselves appear to be half or even less than half the size of our planet, it would make sense that all of the land masses from these worlds could fit on the source comfortably. Remember, 7 of them have already been rejoined and the 13th has become a void. This would only affect the remaining 5 shards. In summary, my theory states that all of the remaining shards will be physically rejoined with the source, but the individual souls will remain sundered, and the continents and land masses from those shards now being a part of the source itself. A seamless, non-destructive rejoining of worlds. But what implications could this have for Final Fantasy XIV's story going forward? Provided this theory is true, I believe it would have the following impact. Number 1, it would once again give us a new map to gradually unveil with every expansion and really solidify in players' heads that Final Fantasy XIV, the game, is here to stay. It would provide that same feeling of wonderment and excitement knowing and seeing how much more there is out there to explore once again. A bounty of new areas just waiting for the development team to write us a new expansion about and take us there. Number 2, seeing as all of these locations already exist in the lore of Final Fantasy XIV, and have had the attention of the player base since they were first introduced, this would give us a way to visit these locations without having to revisit the same tropes we did in Shadowbringers. Instead of having to walk through a space-time gate, or have our friend's soul snatched by a time-traveling wizard, the continents would be right there on our doorstep, so to speak, a part of our very own planet. Number 3. The end of the Hydaelyn and Zodiark story arc could be the perfect time for a time skip. Let's say they go with a 5-year time skip, for example. This would be a great amount of time to establish character development for the Scions, and also build some backstory as to how the other shards have reacted to their new neighbors. One of these shards can be extremely hostile to us, setting up a new big bad like Garlemald. There could even be shards with civilizations who are more advanced than the Allagans themselves. Remember that time flows differently on the shards, so they could all be at very different stages of development. The possibilities are truly endless. And finally, number 4. With the first itself being one of the rejoined shards, we would be able to have some of the best reunions in the story's history. Y'shtola, who at the end of 5.3 hinted that she may one day return, would see Runar again. Lena and G'raha, Alphinaud and Dulia Chai, Reen and Thancred, with Reen wielding Thancred's gunblade, of course, not to mention Alizé and Halric, who we can hopefully now cure of his ailment, provided our new temporary cure would also work on him. The inhabitants of the first would also be our only new old friends. The only people from the rejoined shards that know of us at all. A very strong group of allies that we can depend on as we begin this grand new adventure on our now very different planet. And that's all I have. I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have anything you'd like to add or discuss, please leave a comment down below. If you'd like to watch me live on Twitch or join my Discord community, you can find the links in the description of this video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all on November 19th for Endwalker Early Access.